Welcome, my beautiful soul family. Welcome to the second week of our chakra workshop, where we will be discussing the sacral chakra, located right below the belly button in the pelvic region. We will be discussing how to tap into it, what it looks like to have a balanced sacral chakra, what it looks like when it is imbalanced, and how we can support that. So to start off, we have our mudra, and we're going to have our ring finger and our pinky finger touching, and the rest of our fingers are going to be folded in like a fist. You can even wrap them together if that feels a little bit better for you. The main aspect is having your ring finger and your pinky finger touching, and the rest of your hands either clasped or in a fist. Now you can hold this at your heart center, you can hold it right down here. This is where I would activate, just because this is where the chakra is located. You can also put it above your head, whatever feels most comfortable for you. So we're going to be using that mudra throughout this session. This is the element of earth and water. So when it rains and the earth gets wet, mud is created. So think about how beautiful it can be for water to absorb into earth, how beautiful that can be for Mother Nature. I mean, the feeling after it rains when the earth is vibrant, the plants are alive, the soil is alive. But if you have a heavy rain or a lot of snow, and you get that mucky mud where it can be mucky, we can also think about how that can transmute into the chakra, where if we are not caring for our sacral chakra, it can become very mucky. And especially as women, the sacral chakra is an incredibly vital chakra to how we move. As females, that is the womb center. So as females, regardless of if we're moms, grandmas, never had kids, it doesn't matter. Females in this realm have an innate womb power. A lot of power comes from the reproductive organs, what our bodies are created to do. To reproduce is, whether it's used or not is irrelevant. We hold an innate power that males do not. And so embracing that power for what it is, and there's a whole nother level of embracing your cycle that we could explore in another workshop. But for today, we're just going to really think about the deep power that we hold as women and how we can utilize that to anchor ourselves and build a sense of safety. So a balanced sacral chakra, connection just to oneself and the world. So when we're connected to self and we're standing true in our morals and values and our authenticity, we can feel very connected to who we are. And in turn, we can also be very connected to everyone else, to the world, the 3D realm that we exist in. And in turn, that gets us a higher connection to consciousness. So, sense of harmony and nurturing. Again, nurturing really does go hand in hand with that womb energy. As females, we have a little bit more feminine energy in us. We'll talk about those male and female energies in just a minute. And then free-flowing life force, prana. In Ayurveda, they talk about prana as your life force. So we want a free-flowing life force to where we feel energized with life. And if that is not taking place, that can block off a lot of what makes us balanced, not only in our feminine and masculine energies, but in our womb. And that if we don't have that free-flowing life force, that's where physical ailments can come to light. A lot of physical ailments that are connected to the sacral chakra, reproductive issues, UTIs, yeast infections, STDs, hip issues, anything having to do with the hip, even sciatica, though that is kind of leaning or into the root chakra, they are sitting on top of each other. So, thinking about that connection, lower back pain, digestive issues, big thing to look at if you have digestive issues, or any sexual issues going on, ED, low libido, any of those can be physical symptoms of a blocked sacral chakra. Going into what it looks like to have an unbalanced sacral chakra, feeling overwhelmed or confused about your emotions. So the sacral chakra is all about our emotions, creativity, sensuality, and life force. So if we are blocked, we are going to have a really hard time identifying our emotions, connecting with our emotions, being able to process them, managing them, and feeling a sense of overwhelm when it comes to managing any emotion we could have. In light work, I don't like to think of any emotion as good or bad. All emotions exist, and they're all there for a reason. If I'm feeling angry, anger isn't really an emotion. It is a byproduct of something deeper. And so I'm not going to go and tell someone, oh, you're bad because you're feeling anger. We need to stay detached from the emotion and not take it on as our identity. So when you're working in somatics, the first step is being aware of the emotion and not trying to push it away. So we see the emotion, we validate the emotion, and then we can move into a healing space with that emotion. And getting to that emotional capacity really stems from learning how to truly see those lower vibrational energies. Because we don't want to live in a lower vibrational energy, but they're all there for a purpose. They can really help us tune into why we're feeling a certain way, some wounds that might need to be pulled up. It can really bring us to a beautiful place of healing. So we don't ever want to ignore or push those low vibrational energies down and try and just stay in hyper positivity, because that is going to manifest its way into physical disease, right? So feeling numb or blocked, dissociation, feeling numb, feeling the need to use substances to avoid your emotions. Definitely a huge thing with an unbalanced sacral. Difficulty expressing yourself. Now, this is also connected to the throat chakra, obviously, but we certainly can't express our emotions if we don't know how to tag into them. If I don't know if I don't know what I'm feeling, if I can't label that emotion, way before we ever try to find out why it's there, but if I can't label or be aware of the emotion that I'm feeling, then, excuse me, I'm about to sneeze, then we're not going to be able to, excuse me, express it within ourselves, express it to other people. And managing and processing emotions is again with that somatic energy. And that's something that we can work on in another workshop. But just to know that if you find yourself in a space where you're continuously pushing your emotions or your feelings under the rug to keep peace, or because it feels bad, that's definitely a sign that we want to really tap into those emotions for what they are and validate them and accept them and look them face to face and say, I see you. What are you here to teach me, right? And that's the beauty of healing, of this journey. Nutrition. Foods to help balance your sacral. Anything orange. Oranges, mangoes, pumpkins, carrots. Anything in the color of orange, that is the color of the sacral chakra. Dark chocolate, as we know, is an aphrodisiac as well, so it's kind of hitting both of those areas of what a sacral is there for. Cinnamon and vanilla. Again, when you think of cinnamon and vanilla, it's comforting, it's almost playful in a way. For me, when I think of cinnamon and vanilla, it's very, it kind of reminds me of like a Bath and Body Works lotion that I used when I was a teenager, you know what I mean? It's very like feminine, childlike energy. And that's one of the specific reasons I wrote that down, is because when I thought about that, it really made me feel in that childlike energy again. And really, that is a huge part of the sacral chakra. We are really looking into inner child work. Where does our joy come from? Do we have creative outlets? We're all in the creativity, sensuality. It's what makes the feminine energy thrive. That is the life force of the feminine energy. Creativity, free flowing. Think about yourself as art on a canvas. Is it structured and maintained and in these little boxes? Because that's masculine energy. So I even would love for you to take a moment to pause this video and grab a journal or sit in meditation and think, if you were to be paint on a canvas, what would you look like? I don't mean your outside world. I don't mean your kids and your husband and all these other things. You, as a person, what would you look like on that canvas? And that would give you a really good indication of where your energies are. Again, feminine energy, very free-flowing, very light, very airy. Masculine energy, grounded, secured, stable, direction-oriented, task-oriented. And I will do another workshop on the feminine and masculine energies because I think it's incredibly important to understand this about ourselves. If we are too much in either energy, that's an imbalance in itself. And so oftentimes that's something I will look at. If I'm feeling too bogged down by the tasks, the to-do list, getting upset because my day didn't go as planned and I had this whole rigid schedule going on, and now I'm upset because my kids want to go take a walk or build a fire instead. That is an overabundance of masculine energy. Now, on the flip side of it, if I'm so free-flowing and so carefree that I lack the ability to get things done or ground myself in meditation, if I'm unable to ground myself in my reality, that is an overabundance of feminine energy. And none of those things are bad. The goal is to have a good balance of both. So that feminine energy is really takes a big role in the sacral chakra and how it plays out in our lives. It's something I do want to touch on before we get started into the sound healing. If you have had any sexual trauma happen to you, this is a energy I would like you to take some time in. And I, again, would like you to pause the video if you feel called to, and maybe sit with yourself for a second and think about if there is any sexual trauma or any wounds that may be popping up in your life right now that could benefit from the sound healing that we're about to do. And when I say sexual trauma, I don't necessarily mean molestation, rape, things of that severe nature. A sexual trauma could be, being in a long-term relationship and having that person cheat on you. That's a deep wound of betrayal. That is a really deep wound of betrayal, and it's going to affect you in a lot of ways, especially because that is an intimate relationship. So anything that has to do with an intimate partner, really think about anything that might have happened in your life that is stopping you today. I know for me, about halfway through my marriage, I started to realize that I have blockages from past experiences that are cropping up and not allowing me to show up in my full feminine energy. There's actually a lot of things that have happened to me in my life that have stopped me from showing up in my feminine energy, and it's taken me a lot of work to find that balance. Because I am very masculine energy dominant, and so I have to really be intentional about being in my feminine energy. And so if you've had a neglectful childhood, you are more than likely going to be hyper independent. That is masculine energy. And so we want to find ourselves back in the feminine energy of trust, safety, support, leaning on others to support you, and truly leaning on them, not asking them to do something and then taking that energy back, but truly trusting someone enough to say, I need this from you, and actually allowing them to give that to you. Because again, in that feminine energy, that is all about receiving. Feminine energy is all about receiving abundance. Masculine energy is all about giving. So when you are balanced, you are able to give and receive and be able to attract that. Whereas if you are dominant in one or the other, that's going to stifle your ability to give or receive. So thinking about wounds, maybe take a second to yourself to think about any wounds that you might be working through, or maybe something cropped up for you right now in this very second, and maybe it feels uncomfortable, and maybe it feels like something you don't want to dive into. We don't really have to dive into anything today. That's what's beautiful about sound healing, is we can simply put our energy there, put our attention on that experience. And yes, it's going to be uncomfortable. And yes, it might make you feel some sort of shame, guilt, anger, betrayal. Again, the goal is to be at the place where we can validate those feelings for what they are, allow them to come up instead of pushing them away, and just being with it. That is the quickest and most effective way to release emotions, especially past ones. This is the most effective way to move on from a wound, is truly accepting those emotions for what they are, accepting yourself for who you are and what you've been through, and continuously loving yourself through that. And so all of these different avenues really speak to our sacral chakra. It is a very complex chakra. And, I think that it deserves a lot of attention in the sense that, especially as women, I apologize for any men who might be watching this, but as women, that womb energy really plays a huge role in how we move in our lives with the people around us. It has a huge impact on how we move. So if we are unable to trust, to receive love, we're going to be blocked from a lot of what is beautiful about this human experience. Okay? Let's take a minute to get settled with that information, get settled in that energy. I am using fire today. I just felt really called to. I don't usually question things like that. I was just setting up here and it felt really natural for me to grab a candle. And so today we're going to be working with the fire a little bit. If you're watching this, instead of laying down, feel free to gaze into the fire. Fire gazing is a beautiful form of meditation. If you are of the Kapha dosha, if you're dominant in that, or if you have a hard time meditating, fire gazing is very, very beneficial in the sense that you are truly going into that energy, and watching the flame can be very trance-like, can really send you into this beautiful trance-like state where you don't have, the point of meditation is to allow your thoughts to flow freely. It's not about having a completely clear mind. It's about allowing those thoughts to flow in and out with no attachment to them. And what's beautiful about gaining that skill is that you can allow the thoughts to come in, observe them, and allow them to leave. And so we're not pushing them down. We're not blocking them from coming in, because they all serve a purpose. Our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, they all serve a purpose for our highest good. And when you reach that beautiful point of meditation where you know that even if you have thoughts, they're not part of your identity, you can simply observe them and they can move on. And so fire gazing can be a really beautiful way of bringing that into your life. I have chosen a couple different bowls. Here is our Sacral Chakra bowl. This is in the note of D. If you were wanting to do more work with this and wanted to go on YouTube, you could simply look up Sacral Chakra frequencies or D note. I've chosen a couple deeper metal Tibetan bowls just to stay in the range. I'm really focusing on this range. We're really kind of connecting the root and the sacral together here. And as we go up through the chakras, we will continue to do that. We will kind of link them together. But right now we're staying in the bottom half of the chakra system. I do, however, have some heart chakra work here, because the heart chakra is very much associated with the sacral chakra, and the heart chakra is what connects the bottom half to the top half. So we've got 3 chakras down here, 3 up here. The heart is what connects the entire chakra system. So we're going to focus a lot on the heart as well. Really thinking about self-love here. Again, if you have any wounds or traumas that are popping up for you, I invite you to observe those and see if this sound healing can help you find peace with that. So take a minute to find yourself in a comfortable position, either seated or laying. We will start to deepen our breath. Really focus in on the breath. You can put one hand on the heart, one hand on the sacral chakra, and really focus on how it feels when you breathe in. And when you exhale, feeling your belly and your chest expand and sink back down. And really just sit with that for a few breaths. I am going to open up our session chanting the mantra of the sacral chakra. Let's find our mudra. Again, at the base of the spine, if that feels comfortable for you. Inhale. Sitting on a beach with your toes in the sand. And just bring that into your forefront of your mind. And really envision that. And once you have a good smile on your face and your heart feels light, use that breath to sink into your body. And I want you to repeat, I am safe and supported. I am safe and supported. first see this light, it seems small, a little dim. It's like a light bulb that needs to be changed. And as you put your focus on it, it begins to glow. It recognizes that you're activating it, and you can see it starting to pulse with your heartbeat. And you realize in that moment how deeply connected your body is. As your heart beats, this beautiful orange light is pulsing, breathing, excited that you have activated it. Imagine any trauma, any wounds that you are working through, acknowledging. Imagine them going into this orange light. And as they get sucked into the orange light, you can see a whirlwind. It's like a dust storm. It gets bigger and bigger. And you can watch it almost like grains of sand as this energy is transmuting your pain. And it gets faster and faster and faster. And then all of a sudden it stops. And it's calm. Imagine that for as long as you need to, as many times as you need to. And once it has transmuted your wounds, and you feel the energy has left you, you thank it. Thank you. I am safe and supported because of you. I feel safe in my body. Thank you for that gift. And once you're ready, you've had enough of that energy, you can simply observe yourself distancing away. And as you see the orange light, it starts to dim out again. Only in the sense of not being needed at this exact moment. It's still there, just a little bit farther away, waiting for the next activation. Feel free to stay with that bright orange light for our entire time. Allow it to transmute, transcend any blocks, anything that's showing up, any fear of your emotions. I invite you to come back to your senses. Be aware of your breath. Deepen your breath. Larger inhales and larger exhales. Feel your body alive. Tune into the happy place that you spent your time at and thank it. And have that feeling in your heart like, I can't wait to come back. I know next week I'll get to be back here and I can't wait. Come back to your physical senses. Smells of the room. The feeling of the fabric on you. You start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Bring some life back into you. If you're laying down, feel free to rock your knees side to side, windshield wipers. A couple really amazing things you can do for yourself along with this. There's some beautiful yoga poses honoring the sacral chakra. One of the best ones is a hip opener. You can lay in bound ankle, either on your back or propped up. You would bring the bottoms of your feet together. Allow your knees to splay out. You can either do this sitting up or laying down. And simply lift up in the body. If you're sitting, you can find yourself floating downward, finding your edge where it's not painful, but you can feel the stretch. And just breathe into those hips. Breathe into that orange light. And if you're laying down, you may find it hard to allow your hips to fully open, and that's okay. You can use pillows or blocks underneath your thighs or knees to help support that. Again, looking for your edge, but not being in pain. Simply be there for as long as it feels good. If you're feeling vulnerable or unsafe at any point, you can lay a blanket on top of your pelvis. That can give you a very nurturing feeling when you're working on that opening. That in itself is a really beautiful practice for your sacral chakra. And a bath with essential oils. Really make it feminine for yourself. Lavender oil, chamomile, ylang ylang, Epsom salts, a couple candles, and really bask in that. Really embrace every moment of preparing the bath and setting up your oils and your candles, and put on your favorite robe and maybe grab an eye mask or your favorite book. Maybe throw on some meditation frequencies and simply embody the entire experience. Very, very healing for the feminine energy and the sacral chakra. And as always with sound healing, you have experienced vibrations and frequencies that have shifted your soul, your body on a cellular level. So ensure that you drink plenty of water. Take it easy today. And if you feel like doing further work, feel free to come back to this video anytime that you want. Use the other tools that I've suggested. And go to the journal prompts that will be in the caption here to further your journey. Until next week, light and love.